Today, President-elect Joe Biden is pushing ahead with plans for his administration, meeting with frontline healthcare workers to discuss the coronavirus response and naming a new team to try to help get his nominees through the Senate confirmation process. But as much as Biden's team has tried to ignore the nonstop lies and conspiracy theories coming from President Trump and his allies, the Biden team does find itself forced to respond to Trump's actions, as CNN's Jeff Zeleny reports.
President-elect Joe Biden praising medical workers today on the front lines of the coronavirus fight.
It's not enough to praise you. We have to protect you. We have to pay you.
He's shining a light on their heroism and calling out President Trump's obstructionism, as his administration still refuses to cooperate with Biden's transition team, especially when it comes to COVID.
We've been unable to get access to the kinds of things we need to know about the depth of the stockpiles. We know there's not much at all. And there's a whole lot of things that are we just don't have available to us, which unless it's made available soon, we're going to be behind by weeks or months.
Yet staffers inside the Department of Health and Human Services were instructed to not communicate with any Biden advisors, CNN has learned, and asked to report any outreach to top agency officials.
We've made it very clear that when GSA makes a determination, we will ensure complete cooperative professional transitions and planning.
As the U.S. reported the deadliest day of the pandemic in 6 months, a Minnesota nurse begged Biden for more help.
I've taken care of co-workers as they fight for their lives on a ventilator, and knowing that they got sick because of the hospital or their government hasn't protected them.
Members of Biden's COVID-19 advisory board are asking for access to the government plan to distribute the vaccine.
We know that vaccines don't deliver themselves. It takes a team of people.
Dr. Rick Bright, a vaccine scientist and whistleblower who accused the Trump White House of interfering in efforts to fight the virus, said Biden's team was skeptical that any credible plans exist inside the Trump administration.
We will be ready on day one.
All this as Biden's advisors are blasting Trump's attempt to undermine democracy by firing Chris Krebs, who is in charge of election cybersecurity, for telling the truth about the election.
It's dangerous. The entire transition, Trump's whole behavior right now, should frighten the American public.
So even as Mr. Biden is seeing this reluctance from Republicans in Washington, Jake, I am told he is continuing the process of searching for members of his cabinet. He's prioritizing the Department of Health and Human Services, I'm told. And two of the leading contenders for that, we are learning, are two Democratic governors. That's the governor of Rhode Island, Gina Raimondo, and the governor of New Mexico, Michelle Lujan Grisham. Now, they were on the long list for running mates potentially earlier this summer, but now I'm told they are being considered as well for HHS, as well as Dr. Vivek Murthy, a former Surgeon General. So we do expect cabinet appointments to be made, or announcements to be made after Thanksgiving. And those, at least, are two of the leading contenders at this point before background checks. Jake?
All right, Jeff Zeleny in Wilmington, Delaware. Thanks so much. Let's discuss with my panel. Tallulah, let me start with you. The Biden team trying to go about business as usual. But at some point, barring President Trump getting a personality transplant, this is going to come to a head. The president is refusing to concede. He's refusing to allow the transition process to begin. How is the Biden team going to handle it if worse comes to worse?
Yeah, Jake, you do see them starting to turn up the pressure, starting to say that this could be a crisis. Former Vice President, President-elect Joe Biden said just a couple of days ago that people could die if this transition does not go smoothly, if he does not get access to the medical experts, to the scientists that were part of the Trump administration. So they are starting to turn up the pressure. It's not clear that any of that is working in terms of swaying Trump himself or the people in his closest advisors. But you are starting to see at least some Republicans start to speak out, start to say that Biden should get access to classified briefings, access to people who have the ability to tell him what's happening with the vaccine. It's happening very slowly. Republicans in general still are living in fear of the president. But I do think that over time, you are starting to see some more Republicans break out. And I think that's the strategy of the Biden camp. We'll see. We'll have to see if it works. But right now, they don't have the ability to do anything until January 20th, other than increase the public pressure on the Trump administration and try to get more Republicans on board to try to turn the president and change his mind and get him to stop being so obstinate and get him to actually provide the information that could save lives to the incoming administration.
Laura, as President Trump continues to deny reality, deny the election results, falsely claim he actually won, he has simultaneously canceled his plans to spend Thanksgiving at Mar-a-Lago. He's going to stay at the White House. Here's Press Secretary Kayleigh McEnany's explanation for that.
President's hard at work. He's hard at work on COVID, among other issues, drawing down our number of troops in Afghanistan and Iraq, bringing our men and women home. He's hard at work, and so he's staying here at the White House, and it will be a lovely Thanksgiving for him and the First Lady here in the White House.
Now, the outgoing president has not held any public events in 11 days. He has not announced any steps to improve the administration's response to this surge of coronavirus. He has gone golfing 4 times in the last 2 weeks. Other than tweeting nonsense, what is he doing?
Your guess is as good as mine, Jake, which is that what we do know he's doing is golfing. Again, as cases surge and health officials are constantly warning about the months to come for the country due to coronavirus cases. The president is not talking about coronavirus. He isn't trying to improve public willingness to potentially take a coming vaccine. There's none of that. What he's doing is laser focused on saying that he won the election, which is false, and also ousting top security officials that he considers not loyal to him. So I don't know what the president is doing other than continuing to further false claims about voter fraud and, as you said, deny reality about the outcome of this election.
Yeah, and I would ask Kayleigh McEnany this question, except she's not doing any briefings. She's only talking on the president's favorite channel. Tolu, let's talk about President Trump's firing of cybersecurity official Chris Krebs, which Laura just alluded to. Besides getting rid of someone who disagrees with him, somebody who stands up for the truth, what does President Trump actually gain from firing a well-respected professional like Chris Krebs?
Well, not much in terms of good governance. The president is not really focused on good governance at this point. He has 2 months left in office, and he's trying to maintain loyalty among the thousands of employees, the thousands of people who work within the White House and throughout the administration. Right now, they are sort of in a bind trying to figure out whether they should break ranks, accept the results of the election, publicly say that the Biden administration is going to be taking over on January 20th, and say that the election was free and fair. Now that you have a scapegoat in Chris Krebs, who did say that the election was the most secure in the recent history of the country, then, when he gets fired, it's sort of the idea is to send a chilling effect to other administration officials, other political appointees, people who may know better, but may be afraid to speak out because they don't want to be fired by tweet. So it's sort of the classic strategy that we've seen from the president: fire people by tweet when they break ranks, really try to instill loyalty by fear and not through sort of allegiance to what he's doing. There's not a lot of support for his position, even within the Republican Party. So it's pretty clear that he's just trying to create a sense of fear among different administration officials to keep them from speaking out, as Chris Krebs did.
I saw somebody on Twitter say that Chris Krebs is the only person to leave the Trump administration with a better reputation than he had when he went in. Laura, you have there are Republicans such as Senators Ben Sasse or Rob Portman defending Chris Krebs, defending the work he did, but then you have Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz saying that President Trump has every right to fire Krebs if he wants. Do you see any point at which the majority of Republican lawmakers would actually come out and just note that this is all insane? President Trump lost. It's time to get over it and prepare for the next administration, because what he's doing right now is not only sowing discord, it's actually potentially harming the American people in terms of the transition and Biden's ability to do the job.
If past is prologue, Jake, I don't expect a big amount of Republicans or the majority of Republicans to finally say, look, this is insane, and Biden won the election, and Trump should not be ousting top security officials. Because, yes, they may quietly say that they're concerned that Trump could extend this to CIA Director Haspel, or to Director Wray, to Haspel, but the fact is that they are not out there in mass very loudly denouncing the president's actions. And I'm not holding my breath, and I don't think many reporters are, waiting for them to do so.
Just so cowardly. So cowardly, and the American people are the ones who suffer. Tolu, Laura, thank you so much. Appreciate it.